Great. I do want to make a little correction. I was introduced as a expert, but I don't think I am an expert. But I don't think there's experts in any fields anymore. I think there's just too many interdependencies between time and cost and quality and service levels and technology for anybody to really be an expert. I'm pretty humbled by what I can continue to learn, but I'm a careful observer of what I do see, and I try to share that with others. So who will benefit from this presentation? Managers who have previously struggled at promoting the measurement and reporting of product, channel, and customer profitability into their decision support systems. Managers who intend to champion profitability analysis techniques and they need a compelling call to action. And the reason I have champion in quotation marks is because it's been my observation that although it's nice to have executive sponsorship for initiatives such as what we'll discuss today, often the people at the top in the C-suite are preoccupied with firefighting or short-term priorities, and it's not unusual for managers 1, 2, 3 levels down from the executives who kind of have passion, fire in the belly, and say, how long do we want to perpetuate using some of these arcane and flawed and stale methods? And they're the ones that will do either a proof of concept or we'll talk about rapid prototype, but demonstrate to their colleagues and maybe the executives above them that this is worth going ahead. So I enjoy presenting to, if you will, middle managers. I noticed that the same slide was redundant, so I think this cartoon kind of sets the stage for the next hour and 15 minutes we'll be going. Drowning in data, but starving for information. You have this poor, beleaguered clerk, shoulders hunched, sad, paper all around, and the supervisor in the doorway at the left is asking him, "It looks like you've got all the data. What's the holdup? I gave you the request this morning. Why don't you have the answer?" And this topic is going to be about how do you convert, if you will, data into information, specifically customer profitability information. I begin all my presentations with these 3 fundamental questions. What, so what, then what? The way I've imagined that you're able to successfully implement a system that's going to deliver what we will talk about in the next hour, which is to produce a customer P&L for each customer from a supplier side. I say celebrate for one day. You are not done. There'll be so much information that will have been produced. The next question is, so what? What's relevant? How do I sift through all of that? But increasingly, the next question is the most critical one. Then what? Because when we make decisions, and decisions only impact the future, like let's say we decide to take on a new customer segment or we want to drop some customers, we'll talk about that. What will be the impact? And that is the predictive view. That's when we have to basically use managerial economics. I always like to tell people I'm an engineer masquerading as an accountant because you can see my entire career has been in the CFO space, but there's still always an engineer in me, not if you will, the accountant think. So what we're going to cover is I'm going to briefly describe what I consider to be 6 historical eras of managerial accounting. We're going to have to do some basics, primer on activity-based costing, and I hope some of you go, oh, no, ABC, it's dead, it doesn't work. That is a problem from the 1990s where consultants and accountants were over-designing those models way beyond diminishing returns on extra accuracy. They were 20 times larger than they needed to be. They collapsed under their own weight, got a black eye. You'll see it's valid, so I'm going to explain how it works. Also, there is a much more successful way to technique to implement it. You can do it in just a couple of days with a few iterations, and within a few weeks, you've got a permanent, repeatable production system, not 6 months to a year. Then we'll get really I'll set you up to the basics of this presentation. How do you actually calculate below the product gross profit margin line, the channel-related and customer-related? Analytics is hot. My undergraduate's OR. I want to show a sort of an embryonic technique that very advanced companies are applying analytics to their customer profitability information. We'll then briefly talk about that predictive view, that sort of forecasting view. And then my favorite topic, which is really, quite frankly, disturbing, is I can't imagine why it's taking decades, so long for organizations to adopt these progressive methods. And we'll talk about what are some of the barriers and obstacles that slow organizations down. So let's get started. Here's my 6 eras of management accounting. It's kind of meant to be a little humorous. We start in the Stone Age, 20,000 years ago, I guess, they had rocks and stone piles. And then in the medieval period, actually in 1496, a monk from Italy named Luca Pacioli wrote a book and documented double entry bookkeeping. So that was really the beginning of debits and credits. Then comes sort of a dark side, the industrial era. And the reason I say it's dark side, excuse me, I'll get to that in a second. Got ahead of myself. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, Frederick Winslow Taylor, who was a hero in the industrial engineering era, created, mass production like for Henry Ford Model Ts. But what you may not know is Alexander Hamilton Church was an accountant that was along his side, and he developed standard cost accounting. We'll talk about standard cost accounting in a few minutes. Then comes what I do call the setback, the depression. And the reason I refer to it as a setback is because I am told that part of the reason for the depression is because there were not strict rules about what you could capitalize or book as expenses, and then the SEC came in with rules. And the reason I say it's a setback is because it shifted all the emphasis to external reporting for compliance and regulatory agencies away from the emphasis on internal management accounting used for decision support. This presentation is going to be about this fifth area. It's really going to be about understanding not just product and service line costs, but below the product gross profit margin line, channel, and customer. And then those of you who are from an IT area or basically into the whole big data science analytics, and I do write a fair number of articles for an organization called Informs, INFORMS.org. They're the Operations Research Group, but also TDWI, the Data Warehouse Institute. It's that predictive view, not just looking at what happened last week, last month, last quarter, but what will happen, what will be the impact in the future. Okay. We need to do a little more education here. What this diagram is showing you is sort of a continuum of costing methods. The highest form of direct costing, and direct costing is really what one would like, is really project accounting, but it only applies when there is non-repetitiveness. So like make to order, make to stock for a manufacturer, building a satellite, and incidentally, this is not about all manufacturing. The vast majority of organizations in the U.S., actually America or the world, are really not making products as much as they're providing services. So insurance companies, banks, travel agencies, this will apply to you. When we get to more repetitiveness, things over and over again, that's where that world of standard costing, and manufacturers, they'll have some form of labor reporting to calculate what are the process costs, and then you use routings or bills of material. But there's alternatives for insurance companies. ABC is what I kind of call a poor person standard costing system. It doesn't require all these detailed timesheets and so forth, and it uses activities in them as the drivers to get the activities to the products channels at that box at the bottom. They're referred to as final cost objects by the accounting community. The purpose of this slide is say the last resort we don't want is allocations, and I distinguish allocations being bad, you'll see why in just a minute, from directly tracing on cause and effect relationships. I have, when I did retire 4 years ago, the CEO of the Institute of Management Accountants, Jeff Thompson, phoned me up and said, "Gary, I'm not going to let you sit in a rocking chair down there in Raleigh, North Carolina. You got to have a role with the IMA part-time." And he created this role called the Executive in Residence. It's part-time. I do 2 articles a year, so now I'm on my 8th one and my 4th year. And this was a popular one, top 7 trends.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Malutis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.